Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 5 of the electric guitar build project. Okay, so in the previous episode I was starting to cut out the cavities in the top half of the body for the neck pocket, the humbucker and the control panel. Well, I have now finished that, and I've actually put in the other humbucker pocket as well. And you know, they may still need a little bit of tidying, but to be honest, I'm quite happy with them as they are. Now, you may also recall that I was having an issue with the neck pocket because I was having to do it by hand. Let's just say it wasn't going that well, really. I mean, I've got the neck pocket finished now. I'm happy with the shape. So if I put the neck into the pocket now, you can see it's there. But if we turn it around and have a look at the back, you probably can see that there's a bit of a gap there, and we do have some movement. I'm not happy with that, to be honest, but I'm too far gone into this project now to do anything else about that. So once I've got the back piece on, which will cover all of this part of the neck anyway, and then get the neck plate on the back with the screws going through, it will hold it all in place and it's not going to move. I'll have to be careful to make sure I line this up before I drill the holes for the screws, because once I've drilled them, wherever they are, that's where it's going. So I've got to be careful when I drill the holes. Everything's got to be lined up with the neck. And what I found is that if I kind of pull it to that side where we've got more of the meat on here, if I pull it across that way, you can't really tell from this, but that's where it lines up the best. So that's kind of a good thing, because looking from the back, so I'll be basically pushing it that way tight, and that is the correct position for alignment. So yeah, I mean, like I said, not ideal having to do these by hand, especially the neck pocket. These really don't matter. These don't have to be perfect, but the neck pocket should be, and it's not. And I'm not overly happy with it, but it is what it is, and I can make it work. It's not a problem. Like I said, I've seen factory builds worse than that, and fairly good quality brands as well. I do prefer it to be nice and snug, but it's not happened on this one. But I will be able to compensate for that with the screws going through, because there's 4 big sturdy screws that go through the back of the body into the neck, holding it all in place. So it ain't going to move, and it's going to be in alignment. Right, so we've got the neck pocket, we've got the 2 humbucker pockets. Again, I did lots of measurements and calculations and got this one in the correct position. And one thing I have done, if I just get one of the humbuckers put in the pocket, and I'll show you what I've done. Let me just feed the wire through, 1 second. Okay, so with the humbucker in place, you can see, probably can see, there's a little bit of, you can't, there's a bit of, yeah, you really can't see that, but there is a little bit of up and down movement. But I've also widened each pocket so that we've got some, there we go, side to side movement, so that I can make sure I get those perfectly aligned in the center. It's a decent fit. It's all cut to the right shape and dimensions. I just widened it a little bit so that we can make the adjustments side to side to get it in the correct position. And I've done that with both of them, so they've both got a little bit of movement side to side to make sure we get them perfectly central and aligned. So let me just put that humbucker out of the way. I don't want that getting damaged. Okay, so that's the pockets done. Now, one other thing I have done, and I did it off camera, is I've cut channels here and here for the wires to go through. I think I explained this in the previous episode where routing these channels out now is a lot easier than trying to drill holes through there when the whole thing's together. That's how you would normally do it on an electric guitar, because you're making it from a single solid piece of wood, but it's difficult, and you know, it's tricky to get the alignment right so it doesn't end up coming straight through the top, you know. So doing it this way, much easier. Obviously you don't normally get this choice, you know, when you're dealing with a single solid piece of wood, but I'm not. Okay, so we've got these channels for the wires to go through. I know that this one probably shouldn't be in the center, but it's going to work just fine, trust me. Okay, so I'm almost at the stage where I'm going to be gluing the back onto the back of this. But what I need to do first, before I glue the back on, is these channels that I've routed. I need to insulate them. So I'm going to be using this Can you see that? Probably not. There we go. Conductive paint. So it's carbon-based paint, which is specifically for, you know, doing electric guitar cavities. The brand is Liquid Wire. I don't know if that's known at all, but that's the one I have, and it seems to work perfectly well. So I've got that, and I've got a little paintbrush here in a little flask, and I've put, you know, just attach this piece of wood on the bottom because this is quite small, stops it from tipping over so much. Right, so before I paint those, I want to, because I'm going to be gluing this surface shortly, and it's a big surface, I want to make sure that's perfectly clean. I've given it a light sanding with coarse sandpaper, A, to make sure it's flat, and B, to give it, you know, a kind of a rough texture to give the glue some bite. So, first thing I'm going to do is use some alcohol to clean the entire surface, just to make sure there's no dust and debris on there before I glue it up. So I'm going to spray it on the cloth rather than on the wood. You don't want the wood too wet, really. Okay, so I'm just going to clean the whole surface with alcohol, make sure it's perfectly clean, dust free, and ready to glue basically. And that wood is absorbing that really quickly. It's obviously well dried wood, which is good. That's a good thing. You want that. Okay. So, and this will evaporate and dry pretty quickly. So I'll be ready to glue it all together in a few minutes. Just that top wing there. Good, okay. So, let's go a little bit in those channels as well, why not? Right, okay, so that will literally dry in a few minutes. In fact, this part is already pretty much dry. So that doesn't take long to dry. Okay, so conductive paint, and I'm going to paint these channels before I glue it together. Obviously, because I won't be able to do it when it is glued together. And to be honest, it's probably not necessary to do these because it's only where the wires go through, but it's certainly not going to hurt. So, get my paintbrush, which is also soaking in alcohol. Okay, so I've got to give this a good shake. I have already shaken it off camera, so didn't need a lot. And you really don't need a lot of this paint either. It spreads quite well. And it dries quickly. So I'll just put a little bit in the cap. It's more than enough. And carefully paint inside these channels now. It doesn't matter if I get a little bit on there, it's not going to hurt. I'll try not to. Yeah, all done already. That's fine, not a problem. I mean, none of it's going to be seen. This is a glue surface, and it will glue on top of that easily enough. But I will wipe it off once I've finished painting these channels. Wipe off the excess on the surface. Just want to make sure I get good coverage right up to the edge. Both sides. Ooh, a little bit too much there. That's fine. Okay. And I will be painting inside these cavities as well, but I'm not going to do that yet, so it doesn't matter if I spill a bit over into there, that's fine. Just make sure I've got right up to the edge. Can't see that side, the light's shining in my eyes. Yeah, I have missed a couple of bits there. Okay, so that's that one, and I'll do this one at the top. Okay, that was a bit neater. Right, so yeah, that's that bit done. Just put the brush back in the alcohol. Oh, poop. Didn't want that to happen. Okay. Right, so I'll just pour that back into the bottle. I mean, this stuff was relatively expensive, and I've used it a few times, so obviously don't want to waste any, so I'll put that back in there, put that aside. And I'll just see if I can tidy up the edge there where I've gone over with that paint. Where's my alcohol? Okay. I'm making it worse. Right, I'm going to leave that because that's just going to get worse. And it's fine, as I said, it will glue straight on top of that, no problem. We just dry that area off again. Okay, so this paint, this conductive paint is still a bit wet, so I'm not going to glue these pieces together just yet, but it will literally take minutes to dry. So, while that is drying, let me just catch you up on something. So, I think again in the previous episode, I spoke about my router and how the poor thing had passed away, and I had to order a new one. Well, the new one came, it arrived in a couple of days, no problem, works perfectly well. It is pretty much exactly the same as my old one, it's branded differently, the switch is slightly different, and there's a bit of different coloration, but it is, to all intents and purposes, the same item. So I was happy with that, and I got to thinking about my old one, or my previous one, current one, whatever you want to call it, and I did say this in the previous episode as well, that there couldn't really be that much wrong with it, because it was literally working one minute and not the next. And I have had that problem intermittently for the last few times that I've used it. So I knew it wasn't anything major, you know, the motor hadn't died, or, you know, the brush is gone or anything like that. I knew it was something quite minor. I thought at first that it might just be a loose wire, so I said that I'd taken it apart and just pulled the wires off of the on-off switch, which have little spade tags on there, squeezed the spade tags up with a pair of pliers, and then pushed them back on. They were nice and tight. And at first it seemed to work. I thought, yeah, that was the problem then, just, you know, a couple of loose connections. But it stopped again, so I thought, okay, there's probably something more. So, although I had the new one and it was perfect and everything, I thought, I don't really want to throw the other one away or just not use it, so I'm going to try and fix it. So what I did was I took it apart again and I removed the switch and I replaced it with one of these little simple rocker switches with the two terminals on the back. So it's same kind of switch as that was in it, just a different style, shape, and everything else. So I put that on, and it didn't make any difference. It still wouldn't work. So I thought, okay, it's not the switch. So then I thought perhaps it's the wire, the cord, the flex, whatever you want to call it. So I removed that and put another cord on, flex, wire, and it worked. So that was the problem. There was a break in the wire in the actual flex somewhere, probably somewhere inside the casing, out of sight. So you know, it was a simple fix really. Just replace the cord, the flex, and it worked. So now I've got two perfectly good working routers. So this is my old one, and the flex I put on it, cord, lead, is about twice as long as the original, because that's one complaint I had about these things. The lead is not very long, so this one I put on is probably twice as long. This is probably about 1.8 meters, and the other one was about a meter. This might even be a bit more than that. I'm not sure. Actually, I think the other one was 1.5, so this will be nearer to 3 meters. I don't know, but it's a lot longer than the original one. And you know, this is now working perfectly, and this is the one with this bit in it that I used to cut these channels. So you know, it's tried and tested, works perfectly fine. So what I've decided is to keep my old one as a handheld. As I said, that's how I did these channels in here. Use this one as the handheld, and the new one set up in my table router jig. So that's set up in there now, and this fits. This whole thing gets clamped into my Black & Decker Workmate, and that's how I use the table version. So this is really good. So you know, they weren't that expensive, these things, under 20 quid or $20. And so now I've got two working routers. I can keep one as a handheld and one as a table router. So that is really handy. So I'm really pleased with that. That I've now got, I didn't need to buy a new one, but it's handy now that I have, because like I said, I've got a handheld and a table one. Much easier, much better. So that's that. Okay, so this paint seems to be dry now. Let me just have a closer look. I think it's dry. Let me get that away. Looks like it's perfectly dry now. Yeah, it's all good. Okay. So it is now time to clamp the top and the back, the front and the back, top and the bottom together. Glue and clamp them together. Now, this is obviously a crucial stage because they've got to line up, otherwise, you know, they won't line up. So I've got the back here under the bench. That's it right there. Where's my big pot of glue? There it is. So I'm gonna need a bigger one. So it's gonna need quite a bit of glue. I've got my clamps. Oh, excuse me. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cover the entire surface, so it's the underside surface of the top of the guitar. I'm going to cover that in glue, nice even coat, 100% coverage, but not too much, because obviously being, you know, two large flat surfaces, I would get a lot of squeeze out, and I don't want too much. You know, obviously I am going to get squeeze out into these cavities. You know, that's inevitable, it's going to happen, but because the cavities will still be open, I'll be able to get to them to clean up the glue later. That's not a problem. In this channel, however, once it's glued together, I will not be able to get in there into this channel to clean out any glue squeeze out, and if there's too much, I won't be able to pass the wires through. So to overcome that, I've got this piece of just sort of light duty twin core electric cable, and it's the sort that's, oh, I don't know how you can see that. The light is awful. It's not round. It's kind of, you know, it's flat. So I'm going to put this piece of wire into that channel, like so. Okay, so that is in that channel and it fits nicely. It's the right size, and so I'm going to leave that in there while I glue the two pieces together, and that should prevent any glue squeeze out getting into that channel. And then once it's set, I can, through these cavities, I can pull this piece of wire out. It probably will be, you know, difficult to get it out, but it will come out. So that will stop the glue squeeze out getting into that channel. Clever, right? Well, not really, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so let me make sure I get this the right way round. So that's the inside, I think, isn't it? Yeah, that's the inside, that's the outside or the back. So, as I said, crucial moment, got to make sure this goes right. I have had a few issues, but hopefully this will go okay. I'll just make sure that wire is seated in that channel nicely. And here we go. I've got one of these sponge applicators for the glue. You know, to try and give a fairly smooth, even coat. And you know, using a brush, obviously you get the brush marks and streaks. I want this to be a nice even coat. So here we go. It's going to need a lot of glue. Make sure I've got the right one. Yes. It's not open. Now this worked earlier and now it's kind of clogged up. Okay. Why do you do this to me? Right, I'm going to take the top off of that and carefully pour the glue out. So I'm going to need quite a bit. Okay, let's just start with that first to make sure this sponge is a good thing for spreading the glue. Yeah, that seems fine. It's absorbing quite a lot though, so I need a bit more on there. Make sure I get all the little bits out. A decent gluing surface. Okay, that's going on better now. So I'll try not to get all the way up to the edge of that channel. But the cavities, yes, I must get to the edge of those. But I'll try and avoid the edge of that channel if I can, to a degree. Oh, that's quite a lot of glue. That's okay, I probably needed a bit more anyway. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I did need a bit more. It's a bit thin. Okay. Yeah, this foam applicator keeps losing little bits. I don't want any of those left in there, so we won't get a good gluing surface. Okay, looking good. Let's get up to close to the edge of that channel, but not right on it. Okay, I'm going to use a lot of my glue. It's quite expensive, this glue, because it's really good. Oops, that was a little bit too much. Right, so this corner down here now. Okay, good. A little bit more just here, a bit dry. Okay, that's looking good. So as I said, and as I always say, 100% coverage. You need enough glue, but not, I don't want too much, I don't want a lot of squeeze out. I'm going to need a little bit more though, it's a bit dry in places, or thin. Keep getting bits off this sponge applicator, that's not good. Get rid of those. see it's tearing to pieces. It wasn't perhaps the best idea to use this, but we're committed now. So I'll crack on. Right, that's looking pretty good. Quite happy with that. Get a bit more here towards the edge of the channel. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's just have a closer look. Need a bit more there. Around the edge there, just a tiny bit more. Getting it everywhere now. Right, these bits. I won't use one of these again for gluing. In fact, as soon as I finish this, I'll put that straight in the bin. Not going to be any good for anything else now. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So, I'll put that in the bin. Just give my hands a wipe. Look at that. Okay, note to self, don't use sponge applicators for gluing. It doesn't really work. Right, so I'm going to put the back on now. So I'm going to put it on this way first and then turn it over to line it up. Okay. So it feels like it's going to, stick without moving around too much, which is awesome.